All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for coming again. I'm glad you guys are ordering food and alcohol. We're going to have an intermission in about 20-25 minutes. This isn't a very long piece, but it packs a punch. All right, so to get started, I'll give you a little bit of background. Ancient Rome, in her early years, was a marvel of human democracy until the aristocracy became so powerful that they got a despot and with absolute power. We haven't learned. During Israel's fall to Assyria, the prophet Hosea said, "My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge." We still haven't learned. Trailer park in Flint, Michigan, 2020.
I told you so.
I'm still without work. I have no health care, and my teeth are falling out, and my body and my spirit are deteriorating.
I told you so. For the first time, I pity you. You made a choice. Your actions have consequences. You railed against the so-called liberal chief when you had a loaf of bread under your arm, and criticized the government for handing out crumbs to those less fortunate. You were so afraid something would be taken away from you and given to someone who might have needed a helping hand. You never thought you would need a handout. Now, your life is at a dead end, and you seek the empathy you didn't have the capacity to feel until you fell upon hard times. Now you are beginning to understand because you have become afflicted.
The prophet travels back in time to 2016 and is saddened by the amount of hate and animosity the election has caused. Hate won the election, and hate lost the election.
Hold his arms behind his back. Hold them wide. We won, you whiny liberal skunk. We won, you libtard. Suck it up. We won. A delta. I thought they were extinct.
Yes, I am the last Delta, the last survivor of my caste. My people and other working and middle-class distinctions, the betas and the gammas, were exterminated in the capitalist holocaust. Capitalism is a mask for Machiavellism. Now you have pawned the golden rule in favor of the rule of bait and switch. Stop the hate and disrespect. I know Donald Trump is an exemplary leader. If a leader can't show respect, how do you expect his fold to? I'm sure his regard for the working man is greater than his regard for his wallet.
But if we follow Trump, maybe one day we will be alphas too. It's the American dream.
A fairy tale created to manipulate you, so you will vote them into power. But if you want to believe in Santa Claus, go ahead. See how great he is when you find coal in your stocking or something worse. Where your treasure is where your heart is. And your heart is in your wallet.
We can pass go, but you can't. We can get out of jail free, but you can't. Someday you will become an alpha.
I'm standing here on Pennsylvania Avenue. And bless you, sir. Jesus Christ, are you okay? You're fine. All right, great.
You or the me? It was me? Okay,
Someone was sneezing.
I was thinking, I'm sorry.
I'm standing here on Pennsylvania Avenue, which is in Washington, D.C.
That's too little. It's 420.
Pennsylvania Avenue!
Bitch.
My friend and I
Terrible.
stayed up most of election night. A bottle of wine being shared between us, and our eyes glued to the TV. Our hopes that night went from decidedly optimistic to slightly terrified to complete disbelief. We both went to bed before the final votes had been tallied because we really couldn't take it anymore, but I went to bed feeling that I knew what most of us feared the worst was true, and when I woke up and turned on my phone the next morning, I was correct in my assumptions.
What kind of, like,
All the
zipper
questions
do
for
you
after the
have?
show, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
So,
You have a great zipper.
Yeah.
I love your zipper.
so I was as surprised as anyone when Trump won. I think we were all pretty surprised. I voted for Hillary, like pretty much everyone I know, and I think most people in New York City. And I wanted to believe that an open bigot who was much more famous for sexual assault allegations and hate speech did not even stand a shot at the presidency, let alone the nomination. But I was wrong. I wanted to believe that my American brothers and sisters, who I thought I knew, would make the correct choice on Election Day and elect someone who actually had the qualifications to hold office. But of course, I was wrong there too.
And a good gold zipper.
Exactly. And the next day I walked into school, and the first person I saw was a girl wearing a black morning pail.
But not a good gold
morning
zipper. Okay.
And that pretty much set the tone that day. Not just for me. I know a lot of New Yorkers felt like we were walking through some kind of collective haze. It was very depressing. And some people compared it to the day after 9/11. Okay, I'm not completely sold on that comparison because I was here for that day too, but that gives you an idea of what the mood was like. And you guys,
And
most
your
of you were
good
here.
gold
You know
Shut
what
up!
I'm talking about. So when I walked into school the next day, sir, my school, with this being 2016, it gave us an environment for people who are feeling very overwhelmed to discuss, not go to class all day, just get everything out in the open because it was a very overwhelming day for a lot of people. And I found that very generous of them, but I personally woke up and after the reality of the day had set in, I just wanted to move forward. And I get it that some of us can say that, and it's difficult for some people. I wasn't by any means accepting the reality, hands down, but I was just like, yeah, this is the reality now. Now, how can we make it better? You know, and it's not an easy discussion to have or something easy to think about. And I don't think the next 4 years are going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I just want to move forward. How can we work to understand each other? The people whose views, you know, we don't even want to listen to. How can we really listen to those people? I think it's easy to see things in black and white terms. Someone who thinks this is bad, someone who voted this way is bad. I'm good because I didn't vote that way, and I think that's a very human thing. And I've felt that way too. That it's an easy trap to fall into. But my challenge the next 4 years is to try to listen to all sorts of people, even the ones who you are dead set, you're dead sure they're wrong. We need to try to understand everybody because I want to feel sooner rather than later that I understand everyone in this country, not just the people who think like me. So that's where my head's at going forward. And I'm standing here on Pennsylvania Avenue with my beautiful gold zipper.
I love the gold zipper. That makes it even sexier.
No, but you can't!
We can get out of jail free, but you can't! Someday you will become an alpha!
Here I am, standing on the park place. An American stand-up comedian, George Carlin, once said, "In America, everyone can become a president. And that's the problem. Mr. Trump is not qualified to be a president. Well, indeed, I'm convinced he'll be a dangerous president who would put our country at the risk, national security, well-being. Most fundamentally, Mr. Trump lacks the character, the values, the experience to be a president. Well, as a president who refuses to release his taxes, as a president who's got a conflict of interest all over the world, as a president who grabs the women by pussies, he weakens United States moral authority to be the leader of the free world. I'm one of those 65 million people who's against Trump. He is not my president.
Woo!
Bravo!
We can pass go, but you can't! We can get out of jail free, but you can't! Someday you will become an alpha! You will become an alpha! Here I am on the boardwalk. And here's a doozy for all of you. On November 23rd, 2015, I went to a Trump rally. It was my 22nd birthday, and I didn't have anything else to do that day, and they were having a rally at the local convention center. So I thought, why not? Now back then, this was still when Trump was a joke, and nobody actually thought that he was gonna win. So I went as a joke. I did not go to support him. So I got to the rally, and it was actually like pretty boring. It was just a bunch of old people. This was before they had all the protesters, and they were like people getting in fights and stuff at the rally. And the only exciting thing that happened was a lot of the old people fainted, and the EMTs had to come through and pick up their bodies. And Trump gave some boring speech and blah, blah, blah. But the exciting part was at the end, because that's when I tried to get my birthday selfie with Donald.
So Donald came through the crowd and was like shaking hands and all that stuff, and I was trying to fight my way through the crowd, and I couldn't get to him. I was jumping over people, and every time I jumped, I could just see his yellow hair shining like a neon beacon. So, unfortunately, I did not get my birthday selfie. But I was standing near the exit as Donald was leaving, and as he was about to go out the door, I yelled, "Hey, Donald!" And he looked at me, and I was wearing this hat, and I took the hat, and I went like that. And he went, "Ha, ha, ha!" And then he left. On election night, I was watching the results with my Dominican roommate. Now, she's a citizen, and she actually wanted Donald to win because she doesn't like our Mexican neighbors that live across the hall. She says they're messy, and she says that Mexican dancing is too loud compared to Dominican dancing, which I guess...
What about
isn't-
Puerto Rican dancing?
I'll
Or
figure that.
Peruvian
We'll
dancing?
figure that one out later.
Well, my wife is Peruvian and she's Puerto Rican,
You
so
wanna
I just
hear the
wanted
end of this.
I just wanted to know.
So we were watching all the
I'm just
states
asking
turn.
about all the answers.
Shut up!
So we were watching the states turn red on the screen, and by the time I went to bed at midnight, I kind of knew what I would wake up to. And I woke up in the morning and it wasn't a joke anymore. And I'm still here on the boardwalk.
To the ovens with you.
I don't want to go in the oven. I don't want to go in the oven. I don't want it. I don't want to go in
In Peru, you wouldn't be burning.
I told you so! This economic cleansing has been going on for years in the shadows. Behind the curtain, the government allowed the alphas, that 1%, to create a dead end for the majority. It took decades to catch up with Epsilon 1. He had always watched as his neighbors lost meaningful employment and became the newly poor. He called them lazy and made the word liberal a byword, a slur used to describe those who believe everyone should be treated fairly. We have allowed those who have to take more and more from those who have not. And what you don't realize is that the alphas have always received privileges, and that double standard is despicable. Suffer today or suffer tomorrow. You are being fattened for the kill, and your life held as ransom for someone else's wealth, not to keep someone on the dole.
You have criticism, but do you have a solution?
Stop choosing leaders with bravado and swagger. Intelligence and kindness are not a weakness.
The nation was seduced and then abandoned. They were warned. They did not listen. The end. Thank you so much. Take a bow.
Speech, man, speech.
Thanks for coming out. Grab another drink, get some more food, and I'm going to do a couple of songs in maybe about 5 minutes that are kind of relevant to the issues. Only a handful of stuff. And then mingle, network.
Maybe we'll dance.
I don't want to be a dickle.